I think the word Mama Beijing is great because people associate me with the Beijing conference. And sometimes when you serve and there is a legacy, it is very satisfying because putting together a conference like the Beijing Conference, the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women, which was held in Beijing, it was a big task. It required a lot of energy, sacrifice, sleepless nights, challenges. So I think it's worth being known as Mama Beijing because it's sort of, I participated in creating the Beijing results, and that's the platform for action which we unanimously accepted and adopted. Yes, first of all, the Fourth World Conference, that's why it's called the fourth, because the first one, the United Nations Conference on Women, was held in Copenhagen. No, not in Copenhagen, Mexico, and then it was held in Copenhagen to evaluate how far the world had changed as far as the results of Copenhagen were concerned, because there were three general themes which still remain: peace, development, and equality.
Right.
And Copenhagen was to assess how far we have gone with the three themes. But yet we had a third conference in Nairobi, the forward-looking strategies, to see how we can speed up the implementation of the agreed principles on the development and advancement of women. And then this was the fourth one. And the fourth one has been the greatest. It has brought together so many people worldwide, so many governments, 189 governments, and so many groups, religious, political groups, non-governmental organizations, civil society. Everyone was in Beijing. And in total, the attendance of Beijing in Huairu with the NGOs and the government in Beijing, we had 50,000 people. Huge. But the topic was also huge. And then in this reflection, so many things came up. And so many of the things were tackled during the preparations.
Right.
Because we had 2.5 years of preparations. And that we made committees to address the issues. We also looked into so many cultures, political systems, and I was able to travel and touch base with the leaders because I believed without the leaders' understanding and the government's understanding, we could not make it in Beijing.
Right.
So I traveled. There's no place which I didn't touch on this planet. So it is a conference which made me travel a lot. And in that case then, I became an international citizen because unfortunately I had no eating taboos. So it was comfortable for me to travel. And also I was not inhibited in terms of networking with people. So it really made me an international, a global citizen, and I also learned to appreciate other people's cultures, beliefs, and the way of living. So Beijing really made me a new person when at the end of it I was a new Gertrude Mongella, and that's why I became Mama Beijing. Yes, we did the mobilization in the Secretariat. We planned to mobilize the world, and because without people knowing and understanding how can they implement. So we put together the organization in a way that the Beijing conference preparatory meetings went from grassroots to national level, to regional levels, and to the global level. And all institutions of the UN were involved. So if it's an issue of the girl child, it was discussed through UNICEF at all levels in order to make people understand the concept. Why do we have the theme of the girl child? Because a woman starts like a girl. So if a woman is marginalized, if the girl does not get the education, how do you expect her to emerge from poverty? So you have to start from zero. And we found out even in some cultures, people just go and use the scientific knowledge to know whether the pregnancy is a boy or a girl. And they would be discriminated before they are even born. So the girl child became very important. The poverty question became very important in the world. The poorest of the poor are women all over the world. So we had to really prepare in a very thorough way. And we also involved meetings of youth. At every regional conference, we asked the youth also to have their own gatherings so that they can look at the platform for action and put input. So we had regional conferences for the youth in Africa, youth in the Arab world, youth in Europe, youth in Asia, in Latin America. So the youth had an input to the conference, because I did recognize that without the youth understanding, we never make it when we come to implementation. Because what we were after evaluating Mexico, Copenhagen, and Nairobi, then we found out that they had remained documents. They had never left the desks to be disseminated. So what we were looking for was, how do we disseminate the decisions made in Beijing to go and affect governments, individual men and women, and change of cultures, change of political systems, economic and political systems. We needed to change all those. So that's why the Beijing Platform for Action, Declaration and Platform for Action, was widely disseminated, not only after it was adopted, but while we were developing that document. We kept on sharing, getting ideas, taking in ideas, and having meetings and committee meetings at different levels to discuss the agenda. So by the time we came to Beijing, a lot of the issues identified were known to the many delegates, and were also had been also discussed at the different levels of society. I think when we turned it to Africa, when we were leaving Beijing, African nations said we have to take Beijing home. So that's where everybody, when you refer to this conference, it's the Beijing conference. Are we taking it home? Are we taking our homework? So I felt every individual should have homework to do. Governments should all have their own homework. And institutions, and at all levels. So this encouragement of taking Beijing home was also a method of this information dissemination. I'll give you an example. When I arrived in Dar es Salaam after I completed my mission in New York, then I had also an opportunity to bring Beijing home.
Right.
because I thought I owed it to my country for the education they had provided me, my preparation as an individual, my skills. I owe it to Tanzania, a poor country but could sacrifice to develop a little girl like me. So I had to bring Beijing home. And this, I took the platform, the declaration and the platform, and handed it over to my president. At that time, it was Benjamin Mkapa, who was the head of state, and he received me, and Tanzania decided to say they were going to concentrate on 4 areas: education, health, economic empowerment, and violence against women.
Right.
So they said if they deal with those, they'll be able to make, and poverty also was included. So after I brought the Beijing home, then it also vibrated Tanzania to pay attention and to take action at different levels. In fact, in Tanzania, we had gender focal points at every ministry.
Okay.
And every place we had a focal point, even in the police system. Because we realized women could not speak their minds if they just, or children, if they are just in an open sort of court. But with the special focal points, they could be listened to and guided on how to deal with their problems. So this changed Africa a lot. So even in the AU, there was a special department, and it still is, which deals with the women.
Right.
And the implementation of Beijing definitely is one of the roadmap for the African Union. So it was, we asked the Beijing Platform for Action to be domesticated in every society, in every nation, so that we can see, package, and then take action. So that has really helped Africa to look into the legal systems, to look into the political systems, and with that gender sort of masculinity which exists in Africa, many men are not as bad as we think. It's because they were socialized to think they are the best.
Right.
And you know who did the socialization? The mothers. So it was not the fault of the boys, it was the fault of the mothers, whom we kept on saying, if you want to think you are the right mother, then you make sure that your boy is masculine and is not equal to a woman.
Right.
So this is another thing, psychological and cultural. All these things are affected, and we needed to look into how to change them. So the AU has done quite a lot, even putting in place the resolution 1325, which recognizes the role of women in peace issues and conflict resolution. And that has been there now for 25 years. So we have seen so many things develop in different systems, in governments, in our own community work. So many things have changed. The number of girls in schools, the governments looked into the school systems to see how can they bring in more girls. It meant budgeting.
Right.
So many of the things for the Beijing implementation of the Beijing platform depend on the economic power of the nation too. If you do not allocate resources to the solution, let's say, of the problems of the health of a woman, to reduce maternal health and maternal deaths, you cannot make it. So it's not an easy job just to get into it and do it. Some of it will require resources, both human and financial resources. First of all, I was so excited when I was invited to come to this meeting because I thought, again, it's a time for reflection.
Right.
And taking again place in a country where the Declaration and Platform for Action was born. And I must say very frankly that China has done a lot of contribution to the world by hosting the two conferences so that we could develop the roadmap, which is the platform. At the same time, now we are reviewing the implementation. And at the end of the conference, I remember I said, a revolution has begun.
Yeah.
There is no going back. And we are not going back. And at this conference, it was very clear through the statements of delegates that we are not going back. In fact, we now know we have a long way to go. The road it can be rough and sometimes very challenging, but we are still on the right road to the development of a world of equality between men and women, a world of peace and development where both of us can enjoy being this planet. And I always believe we are not invitees on the planet.
Right. Right.
Women are not invitees. We belong to this planet. And therefore, it's up to us to work with men and men to work with women to ensure that we succeed. His keynote speech yet is another document which has summarized very beautifully what we've gone through in these 30 years. But he has gone on to suggest some of the ways we should use in order to speed up the implementation of Beijing.
Right.
Not only that, he has also offered some support, not only for the women in China, but also worldwide, to make sure that some of the projects are implemented which will make the lives of women better and men in general. And I think I was very impressed by that commitment. And that's what we need for our leaders and governments to commit themselves to this noble work which we've started 30 years ago in order to speed up the work we started. Otherwise, without that strong commitment and partnership, sometimes we forget that the world is one. So China teaming up, for example, with the African countries will be able to transfer some of the knowledge, technological knowledge, create some of the technologies together with the African countries, and also maybe scientific knowledge which is already in China can also be shared. And we could look better how we can work with China and how China can work with us. And also we can partner with other loving countries in the world. We will look at partners because it's partnership. We have to move now from, I think what the president was saying, we have to move away from dependency to partnership.
Right.
So that we work together, and that's what is lacking. We are on the same globe, but we are not in proper partnership. So that is a very strong statement he made about partnership, about the need to support women and to put in position governance that cares for all people. I'm so happy to have reached 80 because for an African woman, it's very challenging. You can start, I started like a girl child, like any other girl child in Africa, with a woman in the village who has no facilities of diapers and all this. She just does her, the mother does her best to take care of you, to raise you. I have escaped the challenges of having parents who don't understand the value of education. So my parents did their best to sacrifice and give whatever they could give to make me start to the maximum of my capacity, and that's the university.
Right.
And I could hear my father saying, I'm prepared to sacrifice anything for you to go as far as you want. So that was very encouraging. I was lucky to have such parents. My mother was a role model, hard-working woman. So that's my childhood was in the safe hands, and then moved on to secondary school and university. And fortunately, I fell in love with a very understanding husband, because the type of work I've been doing, no man could tolerate such a wife.
Sure.
You leave sometimes the children for him to take care of, and sometimes you are not there when you are supposed to be there. But he was very, very supportive all the time. And sometimes seeing all the challenges you go through, the marginalization you suffer, but he was with me all the time. And he just passed on the 31st of May this year, after being together for 56 years. So that I was lucky in that capacity. I got the education, I got the right husband. Then I got the right country, Tanzania. Under Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who were brought up to feel independent, to be able to do things and to maximize the potentials we got from our nation. And I remember he even came to Beijing with us in the Tanzanian delegation.
Okay.
He was there to support Gertrude Mongella as one of the daughters of Tanzania. So that was the right country, a right country for me to be Secretary General, because Julius Nyerere and Mao Zedong had worked together since our independence to develop Tanzania. I can remember a few industries put together, like the textile industries, the farm implements, the railway line, which helped to liberate the southern parts of Africa. So I say I have been moving in the right direction. I've been moving in the environment which was conducive, but also challenging.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.